Well, as predicted, Yuki Yuna is a Hero, the Great Mankai Chapter Episode 10 turned out to be a recap episode. Sort of, I guess. Half of it was pretty much just recap, just re-showing everything that happened with the Hero chapter. And again, issue with it being told now rather than not during that particular chapter in the second season. But despite this, there was some nuggets of stuff that was within there. Obviously, the stuff surrounding the Sentinels, not necessarily all the stuff around the heroes that, like I said, pretty much took up half the episode. In the early segments, we have the Sentinels' first introduction to the Jukai, or this battlefield that the heroes obviously fight in, where time is standing still, and a lot of focus on Aya specifically as she is within the tower, doing her incantation or prayer, whatever you want to call it, her prayer along with the other Taisha that are in the room. And I think despite this entire episode being a lot of reused footage from the Hero chapter, obviously, getting this little bit of insight into at least the Mikos, or at least Aya herself, along with the Taisha, gives us that, I guess, a better view of what happened with the Taisha during that segment. Because obviously all that we really seen in the Hero chapter was really just the Taisha accepting the marriage and becoming one with the gods, or at least the divine tree, and them turning to wheat. Whereas specifically from this vantage point, we're getting that idea of exactly what is going through their minds. This idea of them doing their prayer, preparing for this cannon fire, but essentially in the end, just giving up their mortal self and going off into the divine tree, which again, we've seen that with them turning to wheat. But here specifically, having that conflict where Mabuki sees the towers failing, she goes inside the chambers and questions them like, why is this happening? Why are we not ready to fire? The heroes are waiting for us. We're supposed to protect the heroes. Why are we not able to fire? And again, the build up to this segment is having all these Taisha slowly over time panicking and then disappearing. And it was weird because at first it kind of words it as a way of some of them realizing that some give up quicker and then criticizing them for not having enough faith. But in actuality, what it seems like it's giving it a perspective of is them giving up and becoming one with the divine tree. So it's the conflict there of, well, the faithless go off to the tree quicker, but the faithful decide to stay around and prepare a cannon fire, which is kind of weird. But I guess in the end, it's really just that a lot of them realizing, it's over, we're good, and we don't really need to fight against this stuff. We'll become one with the divine tree, so let's just give up and just go now. And Mabuki's frustrated by this because she feels like their duty is not over yet, but then realizing that this whole thing is just for them to become one with the divine tree frustrates her because, like the other heroes, they realize what's the point of being safe and everything if you're not able to be human, if you don't have your own self to exist. And so she's frustrated and obviously wanting Aya not to give in, not to accept that. And I was really surprised because it obviously showed a little bit of like sand on her, and I wasn't really sure if that was somebody else's sand fell on her, but it almost made it out as if she was giving up and it was happening. I guess it's really just them signifying that that's what's happening, is that she's slowly giving up, but in actuality, it's just somebody else's stuff. And this scene was really the nugget within this entire episode. Like I said, being frustrated with a lot of stuff that's just replayed stuff, this was the nugget. This was that little nugget within there where you have Mabuki and Aya having that conflict. Having that conflict of essentially what she's been taught her entire life. Because what we get a perspective of with Aya is that she spent her entire life serving the Taisha and serving the divine tree. And so her, along with all the Taisha, this is just obvious. Like, well, yeah, we need to give ourselves up. But Aya had one thing that the rest of the Taisha didn't. One thing that her family didn't have. She had somebody who wanted to exist within this plane. And despite the fact that we only get one brief clip of, oh yeah, that's right, Aya and Mabuki had one date. That's the only memory she can pull up. But they were crucial enough memories for her. They were fun memories of her being with Mabuki. So that's just enough for her to decide that she wants to stay there. She doesn't want to be a part of that. It was funny though, because building up to this whole segment, we had this idea, okay, well, the tower fails, all of them are disappearing, so it's like, okay, so continuing the trend of the Sentinels arc, failures. Just not being successful really at anything. But sadly, what kind of comes from this after this is that we get the confirmation that, yes, it seems like we're going to go another episode of recap. So, it's fine. It is just a little frustrating to have pretty much... It's frustrating because it's out of love that I want more content of Yuki Yuna as a hero. I loved the stuff that they had in the first the whole backstory arc was great. To come back to here, realizing that really a lot of this is going to be retreading grounds is frustrating. But like I said, we did get one little nugget of information here, which was really cool. So not much to talk about, unfortunately, because of that. But we'll see what happens with episode 11. Hopefully they'll just wrap up the fight, or at least, again, give us more perspective of the Taisha. I think they've pretty much fired off their camera, and there's not really much else they can do besides just fighting. But we'll see. But that's my thoughts on episode 10 of Yuki Yuna's Hero, the Great Mankai chapter. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. Support us on Patreon if you can. Definitely appreciate everybody that does. And y'all take care.